So firstly, I would like to thank you for inviting me this morning to be here today. And I'm sorry for being late. And even I will be very unpolite because I have other meetings at the office just in a few minutes. But for me, it was important to be here for several reasons. The first reason is 75th anniversary is an important anniversary. And I'm very happy that this European spirit is even older than the creation of the European Union. We started with, when I speak now about the Rome Treaty, it was in 1957. And so you started in 1950 to create it also this union where you know that common problems have to find also common solutions. And a few things. So you told, yes, I was Prime Minister, I'm now Minister of Foreign Affairs and also Minister of Foreign Trade. We have not, you gave me the feeling that politicians and industry are sometimes not on the same, how could I say, have the same opinions. But we have the same also fears for the moment. Unpredictability is something which is reality. I should go in 10 days to Osaka for the World Exhibition. I'm sorry, I will have to cancel, because on Monday I have a meeting in the European Union about American tariffs. And I think it would be a big mistake not to be in a meeting where we will discuss the European answer to American tariffs. And on Tuesday I have a meeting about Israel and Palestine. So as you can guess, and Ukraine and Russia. So instability, unpredictability, but also tensions is something we had not the last years. It was far away, and now it's so close. We rely on the American partner to think America is always our partner. We realize that we need, in fact, and it's also a bit of a wake-up call, that we should also be more independent as a European continent. We rely on America for safety, we rely on Russia for gas, we rely always on others. And so maybe it's also a wake-up call to know that we should rely on ourselves. And allow me to say something, maybe I will shock the one or the other, but the European Union started with the Union of Steel and Coals. This was at the beginning where we thought it would be better to put things together and also have a common market, having common industries, but in different countries, but being able to have a union of this, because we would be less competitive compared to others. When I see today when we were able also to think global instead of acting local, it's Airbus. Airbus is a society from Spain, Germany, France, the UK. At that moment they were still a member of the European Union. And we created Airbus. And when you compare today Airbus to Boeing, Airbus is not that bad. When I see defense today, with the expense we need to raise and the budget that we announced all in Den Haag last week about military expense, I think one of the European projects could be also common defense industry. Because everybody's thinking now local, because we produce guns in Austria, we produce things in Czech Republic, we produce things in Belgium, we produce things in France, we produce things in Germany. But everybody is now defending his own industry, what you can understand. But then we might have 27 drones, because we all need drones now, 27 drones, 27 helicopters, 27 planes, etc., etc. Instead of saying, why are you not able to say, you got specialized, you do these pieces, you do these pieces, and we do the assemblage. But so some different countries are able to produce, and we have this in common. So the research is much cheaper if we do research at 27 than one by one. The production is cheaper when we do it at 27 than one by one. And that sounds a bit easy, but interoperability is also important. I'm not sure that a Swedish pilot can use a Spanish plane without an extra formation. And if we have, in the States, they have 3 guns, 3 planes, as an example. And so they are able to have a bigger mass production and also cheaper costs of production. So why sometimes we speak global, but we act very local, also because we are elections are coming every 5 years, and no one wants to give something up. And I think if we would have started with the steel and the iron today and the coals today, our population will not accept, because they say, okay, but I may lose my job tomorrow. But maybe the cake will be bigger tomorrow. If the cake is bigger tomorrow, the piece of your small cake might be bigger than even your whole cake you have today. This sounds a bit strange, but it's the reality. So steel is, I think you have two big challenges that we have in common. One is production in China, where we know that we need rules, we need a level playing field also. It cannot be, and I just got a message from the journalist asked me before, because the new future American ambassador to Luxembourg said publicly that she wants to teach us how to deal with Chinese. I just can tell you, I don't need anyone to teach us what to do. We are not what we call the vassal, so we are not the I don't know how you say it in English, but how do you say? Vassal. Oh, right. So we are not the vassal. So I say it more in a British way. So we are not the vassal of neither China nor the USA. And I don't want today to be in a situation, to be very frank with you, where I need to say the world is black or white. It is important to have links where you are able to see where you have opportunities to have a win-win situation. And when with the Chinese, we know that the Chinese are competitors, they are rivals, but they can be also in some topics partners. We should not say, no way. For example, about Ukraine, China voted with Europe. It's an example. But we need not to be naive, because we are not the vassal of the one nor the other. When this is one of the topics, so the surproduction of some countries, and so also the price. And then the energy, it's a reality. In Europe, the energy is a reality. That costs, but also regulations, makes for some industrials asking themselves the questions, should we still produce in Europe? You have two options. You can go to countries where you say they don't have ecological regulations, so we can produce and we don't care. That's not what I would do when we know the environmental situations we have a global, and not only in Europe. That's your responsibility, but you have to choose. Sometimes you can have higher costs, but the impact also on the population, or especially about environmental questions. If you say, here in Europe they are too strict, I defend that we cannot produce like we did the last 50 years. We need to have regulations, but we need to help the industry too. We cannot say we do regulations, but we don't care if you are able to do it or not. We should accompany, we should support, we subsidize also that the industry is able to move on. And the other thing is that you say, okay, so we will go where the biggest market are, and America supports us more than Europe, so we'll move to the States. I just can tell you that for the moment, we have a lot of companies who, because of the tariffs and instability, are moving from the States to Europe. Because at the end of the day with the tariffs, who will pay the bill? The customer. If there is a war, really an economic war, commercial war, and people who voted for President Trump did it because they thought that he will keep the inflation down, the prices will raise up. Because the answer is tariff high, okay, tariff high, tariff. And so even the cheapest goods are going to be more expensive tomorrow for the middle class consumer. So for me it is important to have the contacts also with federations like yours, to be able, as European Union, not to take rules that we know we cannot fulfill. And when I told you before about this, you can have this social dumping where you think that it will be cheaper to produce there or there. There is today an ecological dumping. And from my point of view, we should avoid it. And if we want to have products, we should have rules also where ecological topics are there so that all the rules are not stronger here in Europe, and we don't care what are the rules in Asia or in the States. And we should also, about the energy, see how we could be more efficient. We cannot say to everyone, we need to have less fuel. We need more electricity. And then we think that with solar panels or with windmills, we will be able to have all the cars and everything and the industry driven by renewable energy. But we can do more than today. That's a fact. But the fact to think that everything will be possible without having also changes, and I know this is not popular in Luxembourg, because when I speak about nuclear power, we have no nuclear plants in Luxembourg, and we don't want nuclear plants in Luxembourg for the moment. Because I tell you why, it's not safe. We see it all the time when we had Chernobyl, when we see Fukushima, when we had in Ukraine. Remember, everyone here was, what is going to happen in Zaporizhzhia? Are there going to be problems in Iran now with the bombings of the Americans? The question was, are there going to be problems with the atom? So it's not safe. This is one thing, so we need to be sure that if there are problems, we don't have the impact it had in Chernobyl or in Fukushima. The second thing is, it's not for tomorrow. When someone says nuclear is the thing for tomorrow, you have to know that between the day you want to build it and it's opening, it's between 15 and 20 years for the moment. So we need also smaller structures if we do it than bigger structures. And the third thing is with the waste, because nobody speaks about the waste. But for the moment, we still have no solution for the waste. And if I'm able to tell you tomorrow that we will construct in Europe small, fast, safe, and knowing that we can do something with the waste, I'll be the first one who will promote even to have that in my own country, where today I cannot agree because I don't have these guarantees. So you see, we have common challenges. I know for you that, and I have Luxembourg's success is a success of steel. You have to know, a lot of people don't know, but without ArcelorMittal today, but in the history of the steel of Luxembourg, my country was a poor country. We had even not enough food for people. People left the country. They migrated to the States to have food because they were not able to have enough food here in this country. And then we discovered steel. And then what we were able to do is to know that we need to be clever, that to be first mover. RTL, which is one of the biggest media companies in Europe, the L is not for Lebanon or Liechtenstein. It's for Luxembourg. With the funds. We have green funds, we have green bonds, we have even gender bonds. We have so many different bonds that you can list here in Luxembourg. And I was in Sevilla 2 days ago when we speak about the climate, had 46 degrees, nearly 52. So the ones who don't believe in climate change, welcome to go there. The fact is that we need to be creative. We have today satellites company called ASEAS, a company in Luxembourg, which when they started in the 80s to say that we should invest in satellites, people thought we were crazy. And you see, etc., etc. Always being able to be creative and to be able to take the next step. We do space mining now. It can be a success. It can be. Maybe it will be not the biggest success, maybe it will be the biggest next story. But we want to be part of it since the beginning. So I want to say thank you also for ArcelorMittal that they are still so present here, and all the other companies who are in Luxembourg. And allow me to do critics about one topic that you didn't raise, but for me, when we speak about regulations in Europe, the fact is in Europe we have rules which makes us weak. We have the example of Ilva. Ilva is an Italian company, I need to convince all of you, who was part of ArcelorMittal. When ArcelorMittal wanted to buy it, they had to sell Liberty Steel in Luxembourg. At the end of the day, Liberty Steel is now nearly bankrupt, so we are looking to have someone who's taking it over, and the deal with Ilva was never done. Instead of having big players in Europe that are able to be big players in the world, we avoid because we think that it's better to have middle-class players in Europe instead of playing worldwide. And this is something where I really think that the rules of concurrence should be changed also on European level if we want to be big players. If we don't change that, we will be always the biggest continent, the strongest continent, the richest continent, but not the most efficient one. And what we have today is not what we will maybe have tomorrow. So we need also to prepare for the future. And rules decided in the 80s were good in the 80s, but now we are 2025. Thank you.